So once again, welcome to the Vassa 2025 Dhamma series. We're very delighted to have the Abbot of Dhammagiri, Ajahn Dhammasiha, here all the way from Brisbane, who's just joined us. Let us all now put our palms together and all kind of join our three respectful bows. First bow. Second bow. And third bow. May we please invite Ajahn to please begin the session by leading us in a short guided meditation, please, Ajahn.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhammam sangham namassami. I would like to do some metta meditation. Metta is simply the intention of unconditional goodwill towards all beings without any distinction. Wishing well to all beings, wanting them to be happy, to live long, healthy and happily, wanting them to be free from anger, to have loving kindness themselves, to realize the Dhamma. And a good way of developing metta meditation is using a short mantra, like using the English translation from the Metta Sutta that we regularly chant. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. And to really get that intention, that feeling, that emotion of metta going, we start off by choosing a person who we like anyhow. We choose whichever being we find easiest to wish them well. It can even be an animal, a cat or a puppy, or your little canopy bird. Whichever being is the easiest. And we start directing unconditional goodwill to that being. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. We say these words like we really mean it. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. If we get distracted by thinking, fantasies, planning the future, whinging about the past, we mindfully notice that, and we just return our attention to the mantra with endless patience, 100 times in one meditation, never mind, catching the mind and bringing it back to the mantra. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. Continuously, mentally repeating that little formula. Now, these words we are using are only a means to generate the emotion of metta. Metta is not just a thought, it's a feeling, it's an emotion. A very wholesome and uplifting emotion, a very pleasant, enjoyable feeling. And we mindfully notice as we are repeating the mantra how that feeling, that emotion of metta is building up in our mind. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. Once we can feel that emotion, once this feeling of metta is noticeable, that's the occasion to widen our loving kindness. Let us include everyone in this Zoom session, all participants in this Zoom session. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. Repeating the mantra, feeling metta to everyone joining our little Zoom session here. There's a very important person joining this Zoom session who we shouldn't forget, who we should give special attention. And that is we ourselves. We have to make sure that we include ourselves in our loving kindness. So let us direct our energy of unconditional goodwill to ourselves. In gladness and in safety, may I be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may I be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may I be at ease. If we notice any resistance, we remember that we fully qualify for unconditional metta. Warts and all, just on account of being a life conscious being, nothing else required. Whatever shortcomings, whatever mistakes we may have made, whatever character flaws, totally irrelevant. We grant unconditional goodwill to ourselves in gladness and in safety. May I be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may I be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may I be at ease. If we can feel the same strength of unconditional loving kindness to ourselves as we can feel to others, that is the time now to start breaking through all limitations, to make our metta truly apamanya, boundless, limitless. Let us include ourselves, everyone in this Zoom session, everyone in Singapore, everyone in Australia. Let us include all human beings in this whole world in gladness and in safety. May you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. Not only human beings, all animals, all mozzies and ants, cute koalas, ugly cane toads, spirits, ghosts, devas, angels, gods, brahmas, all beings without distinction, in gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. We try to make our metta completely without restriction. We include absolutely everyone, whether they like us or they hate us, whether Buddhist or atheist, Muslim or Hindu, whether Chinese or Aussie, Sri Lankan or Thai, young or old, men or women, whether they respond to our metta or they ignore us, totally irrelevant. All beings, everywhere, in all directions. We spread our metta all around, in front and back, left and right, down to the lowest hells, and up to the highest heavens of the Anagamis, the pure worlds, planet Earth and Moon and Mars and Venus, distant galaxies, weird aliens, limitless, boundless, all around, everyone without distinction. In gladness and in safety, may you be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. In gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease.
Ajahn. I'd like to now invite you to request for the Dhamma, please.
Dear brothers and sisters, we put our hands in Anjali as we request the Dhamma discourse from Ajahn. Brahma Jaloka Tipati Sahambati Gatanjaliyan Divaramaya Chata Santi Dasata Parajaka Chatika Ese tu Dhamma Anukampi Mampacha. The Brahma Sahampati, Lord of the world, with hands palm to palm before his heart, quested a blessing. There are beings here with only little dust in their eyes. Please, teach the Dhamma out of compassion for them.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namassami. As we were already on the subject of metta, this is what I would like to talk about today. Because whether you are into samatha or vipassana, whether you are a layperson or a monk or nun, it is just so beneficial, it is so good. Even if it's not your main meditation object, we should at the minimum always use metta as an additional meditation. The metta is the direct antidote to anger. And I'm not sure, but if you look around in this world, there's just so much anger, isn't it? There's war, there's conflict. And it is very easy that we respond with anger in our own mind. And the moment we do that, we're losing the plot. The Buddha reminded us again and again that anger can never be overcome with anger, through anger. Only non-anger can conquer and defeat anger. Non-anger like metta, like loving kindness, like kindness, compassion. So whenever we develop metta, we make a direct contribution to reduce the amount of anger in this whole world. Whenever we have anger in our own mind, we will be unable to reduce or stop anger in others. We are in danger that we actually are spreading anger like an infection ourselves. As we chant in the Metta Sutta, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, one should sustain this recollection. What is actually translated as recollection in Pali is sati. So the Buddha calls the practice of metta also a form of sati, because we have to have mindfulness of metta if we practice that meditation object. But very important, whether standing or seated, walking or lying down, that is all four postures. This is one meditation object where the Buddha specifically mentions that it's suitable for all four postures. For example, anapanasati, mindfulness of the breath. The Buddha would usually introduce it by saying a monk having gone to an empty dwelling to the foot of a tree into solitude, and then they sit down cross-legged, and then they start their practice of mindfulness of the in and out breath. On the other hand, with metta, the Buddha pointed out any posture. So I believe, I'm convinced that metta is a particular suitable meditation object to sustain throughout your daily life. Now, how much time do you really have to be in formal meditation or to be on formal retreat? And how much time do we spend in everyday interaction, our job, shopping, family, kids? If we use anapanasati, I think that will be very difficult for you to do when you open your emails Monday morning at work, when you join an important meeting, when the kids are going crazy, when you're driving through heavy traffic. On the other hand, the metta can be maintained in the background. It's a beautiful meditation object to move from more refined in our formal meditation to keeping it going in the background of our mind throughout our day. Even if we can't continue the mantra all the time, we try to establish loving kindness straight away early in the morning. We do some formal meditation before we really start our day to make that quality of unconditional goodwill really strong in our heart. And then out, it can still resonate in the background. And we can occasionally come back to the mantra to sustain it throughout the day. But even if we are not thinking about the mantra, we can sustain the attitude of loving kindness. It's a particular suitable meditation object to interact with other beings. For example, again, anapanasati is excellent. Say if you're a monk or a nun, you do anapanasati, and the typical result of doing breath meditation is that you incline towards solitude. I certainly have them in my own experience. And after a good session of breath meditation, you usually don't feel like rushing out and interacting with other beings. I'm sure others have experienced that as well. The mind inclines to solitude, to a very simple, restrained environment after anapanasati. But how would that work in your busy life in Singapore or in other places nowadays in modern life? And I've seen that happening with many people. They try to develop samadhi, they stay with their meditation object, and then they find it very difficult to pull the mind out and face the real life. There's a danger that meditation becomes something we are doing on retreat or when I'm in my safe place. And the moment I come out of that, I have to face real life. and the mind deteriorates. We should never separate our life and our meditation. Meditation, the bhavana, is cultivation. The Noble Eightfold Path should be cultivated, developed in all our activities. And if there's any activity that is impossible to use for cultivating the Noble Eightfold Path, then we probably have to make a major effort that we can stop that activity altogether. So my recommendation in the morning, try to have some formal meditation with metta, loving kindness, to bring up that quality in the heart, that you can carry it in the back of your mind for all interactions. One doesn't have to think, may you be happy and well, but we interact with other beings informed by that intention, by that motivation. And then our job can become a practice of loving kindness. Hopefully we do have Samma Ajivo, the right job, right livelihood, where what we are doing is our profession is actually of benefit to other beings. It doesn't have to be anything heroic, a firefighter or a surgeon operating, saving lives. Even if we just have an office job, do some work on the computer, as long as we can see other beings benefit from that, we can do our work with the attitude of loving kindness, wishing well to others in the background. I also like to remind everyone that if I say to do some metta in the morning, some people complain, I find it difficult to get up early in the morning. I don't have time to get up early and do my meditation. Is that an issue you have? The reality is actually really, really easy to get up early. The difficult one is going to bed early. This is a trick. So if you normally go to bed at 11 p.m., the trick is you go to bed instead at 9 p.m. and then you sleep an hour longer and you still have 1 hour more which you can do metta meditation every morning. Isn't that a fantastic trick? 2 hours earlier to bed, which is certainly not impossible. You just cut out the telly and the YouTube and whatever you do there, the video games. You go to bed 2 hours earlier, you sleep an hour longer, but you're really well rested and you still have 1 hour of unconditional goodwill to all beings. And then you go out with a totally different attitude. In fact, rather than sleeping 1 hour longer, you may want to introduce half an hour metta meditation before you fall asleep. It's an excellent meditation object to cultivate before going to sleep. The Buddha gave us, mentioned, explained 11 benefits, metta nisangsara, 11 results, benefits we can receive if we really cultivate metta and make much of it, make it a vehicle, make it a strong foundation. And the first one is that we fall asleep easily. Second is we wake up happily. Third is that we sleep well. We don't have bad dreams, nightmares. It might sound trivial if you normally sleep well anyhow, but if you ever suffered from sleeplessness, if you ever suffered from a nightmare or the difficulty waking up at night, unable to sleep, these are huge benefits. So anyone who is struggling with that, if you find it hard to fall asleep, if you are tossing around all night, if you are struggling with all kinds of fears and anxiety at night, try metta. And then you can wake up before your alarm clock. Is that what you normally do? 10 minutes before the alarm clock, you're already up, bright, radiant. This is how you can check the quality of your metta. The Buddha promised with good metta, and we wake up happily. Give it a try. Take a selfie right after waking up. And if you're not happy to share that selfie right after waking up, you need more metta, more happiness. Talking about happiness, and everyone wants to be happy. And from what I see, I think many people will experience some joy, some contentment, some gladness in their meditation, easiest with metta meditation. I mean, it depends on the individual, but I think for many, metta is the easiest meditation object to access with some form of joy and gladness. I think anapanasati for many, it takes a little bit longer. Any meditation object, once samadhi builds up, there's joy and happiness. But I believe the metta is the easiest. I can really recommend it. And once you have happiness, gladness, contentment in your heart, you will notice more of the benefits the Buddha pointed out, popular with other human beings, non-human beings like you as well, human beings like you. And that is such a powerful motivation in human beings, where everyone wants to be liked, wants their post on Insta and their TikTok videos to be liked, wants to have many followers, wants to be popular. But the Facebook friends, no doubt whether that are real friends, in real life, the people you really interact with, if you have loving kindness, that is what we truly appreciate. Look at who are the people you really like. Is it the ones who are celebrities, or is it the ones who have genuine goodwill to other beings? Devata Vakanti, the Devas, the angels, will protect you. Even more so when you include the 5 precepts. With these 2 things, keeping the 5 precepts, which is actually a form of metta practice anyhow, that's the foundation of our loving kindness. We can see that our practice of keeping sila, of preserving our precepts, becomes an expression, a part of our loving kindness practice. How could we kill any living beings if we truly wish well to everyone? How could we steal the possessions of others if we radiate loving kindness? How could we disappoint our partner, your spouse? How could you disappoint them? How could you damage another relationship by breaking the 3rd precept if you have loving kindness? How could we lie? That one requires a bit of wisdom as well. Sometimes people claim that it is maybe kinder to lie, but that's not the teaching of the Buddha. With representing truth, if the other person believes that we are increasing delusion, we are increasing ignorance, and that is never loving kindness. Being truthful is genuine loving kindness. And finally, in alcohol, drugs, intoxicants, the big danger that we end up losing shame and conscience and mindfulness and cause hurt and harm to others. And of course, it's bad for ourselves. So loving kindness can be a strong motivation for our precepts. And if you ever struggle, if you notice there's some weakness in some of these 5 precepts, the stronger you make your practice of loving kindness, the more you will be committed to these 5 precepts, because it's a natural extension of your goodwill to other beings. We can even give protection from accidents, from poisons and so on. It's good for our health, it protects our heart if we have loving kindness. And it makes samadhi easy and quick. Is that how you normally meditate? When you sit down and then you start meditating, and before you know, you're overwhelmed by rapture and bliss, your mind unifies, drops into blissful samadhi. I think many people are not quite like that, isn't it? Wouldn't it be great if you could just start meditating and the mind quickly, easily unifies? Buddha said that this is one benefit of well-developed loving kindness practice. Quick and easy samadhi. And the complexion brightens. You look more beautiful. Metta is the best beauty parlor. You can save money, you might have go to the beauty parlor, to the Botox, to the facelift. You use loving kindness instead. You don't have to slam the brush up my experience in the Zoom app to maximum. You can just rely on internal beauty. And a really big benefit, we die without confusion. Someone who has developed metta well will die with the heart at ease, because they know they go to a good place. Even if we don't develop any wisdom, just by metta practice, we would already secure a rebirth in realms of bliss and realms of the joy and bliss, Brahmaloka. And when dying, we could feel that already in our heart, we would die in that ease. Another interesting thing about loving kindness, it's not compatible with fear. These 2 things, anxiety, fear, and loving kindness, are incompatible emotions. There's something called the love-hate relationship. And love and hate, sensual love and hate can easily flip over. Or we can fear someone and hate them as well, that's possible. But you can't really feel loving kindness. You can't love someone and be totally afraid of them. It's kind of impossible. If there's loving kindness in our heart, we can't really experience the fear and anxiety at that time. And fear and anxiety, I think anxiety is the most common mental disorder in modern society. And even if it's not on the level of a mental disorder, there's so many people struggle with all kinds of worries, fears. So loving kindness will reduce that. So something we can fill our heart And when we use it to everyone we interact with, we make that the motivation. We make that our thinking. But people often think too much. I remember there's this story of Luang Por Dun, and one day this lady came to Luang Por Dun. He was already very old, and she started pouring out her heart, all the problems with her son and with her family and health problems. And you may have seen the photos of Luang Por Dun. He has got this super equanimity, and he would just be sitting and compassionately, sympathetically listening, and she continued talking about all the issues and so much pain and disappointment and worries and concerns for a long, long time. And when she later left, Luang Por Dun commented, these days people have a big problem with thinking. Because when I look at it, analyze it, often the problem is not really the problem. The real problem we have is thinking about the problem. A huge amount of our issues in modern life is our thinking. I'm not talking about the people who are being genocided in Gaza and are being bombed. This obviously is not a thinking problem. But most of us are not in that situation. I'm also not talking about someone who suffers, say, from intense chronic pain. This is also not just a thinking problem. But so many of our issues, if you analyze it, the moment you're not thinking about them is actually all good. I sometimes do that as a practice when I'm in my kuti, because I'm extremely happy in my meditation kuti. I've got this beautiful view to the north. There's just national park. I like the climate here a lot. No one is impinging on me. I don't have the phone on or anything. But sometimes I'm in my kuti and I'm quite miserable because I'm thinking about some issue. But fortunately, when I bring up the mindfulness, now I realize it's actually everything good. I don't have any chronic pain right now. There's no pain. There's no external thing that causes me any problem or hardship that I can generate it in the mind. What could happen with the monastery? What do we do there? What next committee meeting and so on. So many people say, yes, Ajahn, but I can't stop thinking. Good news, you don't have to stop thinking. You only have to start thinking, may all beings be happy and well, may all beings be happy and well. And then all these problems you feel are such big problems, they will be completely gone. There's no harm in these thoughts. So if you can't stop thinking, then just use that mantra. And instead of thinking, what if that meeting goes wrong and then maybe I don't get the permanent position because I failed at that meeting, and if I don't get the permanent position, I may become unemployed, and what do I do with the kids if I'm unemployed and with the mortgage? And before you know, you're in this disaster scenario, although right now everything is fine. If instead of thinking about the disaster scenario for 1 hour, we are thinking about, may all beings be happy and well, may I be happy and well, may all beings be happy and well, may I be happy and well. you will feel so good, you will feel so happy. You will radiate that to others, you will have that radiance in your face even. People will like you, you will sleep at ease, you will not feel anxious. Metta is a remedy to so many things. And although metta is not an inside meditation object, it's clearly more on the side of samatha samadhi, generating that strongholds and emotion, giving us contentment, joy, rapture, bliss, allowing the mind to unify, to come together, to concentrate in joy and happiness. We can also use the wisdom faculty relating to our metta practice. So if you want to combine the metta with wisdom and insight, what I would recommend, look at occasions when anger comes up, when you lose your metta, and instead an irritation arises in the mind. Or that some old grudge may come up again. Some irritation, anger coming up. This is a good time now to use mindfulness and wisdom to combine that together with your metta practice. And what we usually find, that there is some form of attachment, craving, or illusion of ego. That is a deeper cause for that anger. So the moment you notice this feeling, we have to have sharp mindfulness. The moment when this slight feeling of irritation, anger comes up, don't go into the thinking, oh, this person and what they have done to me and what they may be doing. Instead, direct your wisdom towards where's the attachment, where's the craving in my own mind, where's the ego, the conceit that causes that irritation. If I don't have conceit, arrogance, big-headedness, would I be upset if someone said something negative about me? What someone is saying about me, and maybe at work blaming me for something I may not even have done or misrepresenting it, and I look bad in front of the whole group or the whole meeting. One example. But for sure, one cause of my upset now is what the person was saying. But the deeper cause is actually the sense of ego. If I didn't have to protect the ego, if I didn't have to preserve faith, in the Chinese sense, F-A-C-E, faith, it actually wouldn't hurt me at all. This is why we can see that when the Buddha had people approaching him and just straight away walking up to the Buddha, someone and starting insulting him, there's no anger in the Buddha because the delusion of I, me, mine, and self is gone, conceit is gone. We may not be able to completely abandon the sense of I, me, and mine yet, but if we reduce the size of our big-headedness, the bigger-headed we are, the easier we are hurt. The smaller we make our ego, we may not be able to abandon it completely yet, but at least we are reducing ego, we are reducing conceit. We are noticing that this is the underlying cause that I'm getting angry now, is this sense of self. Or the other one is now our craving and attachment. Now, why do I get jealous at this person? They are getting the promotion, I'm not getting it. So the cause of my anger now is not that they're getting the promotion. The cause is that I wanted it so much. Or someone takes something away from us. Maybe someone who steals your partner, extremely painful. People get very angry about that kind of thing. But if we analyze internally, we notice that's because of the attachment. If someone takes something away which we consider that this is mine, which we are attached to. If the attachment wasn't there, the anger wouldn't arise. So this just as a suggestion how we can combine metta to bring in the wisdom faculty, to make sure that it's not completely a samadhi practice. But whenever we notice anger arising, whenever we can't sustain our loving kindness in our daily life, and you notice an irritation rears its ugly head and possibly making our face ugly, but just like metta makes us beautiful and the anger makes us ugly, whenever we notice that, let's look inside and try to identify attachment. And can I overcome that anger by letting go of some attachment? Whenever irritation arises, can I identify the craving? And can I let go of craving so that that irritation goes away? Whenever the anger rears its ugly head, can I look internally and find that there's that conceit, that sense of I, me, mine? And can I let go, or at least weaken it, so that the anger, the irritation goes away? And I can move back to loving kindness, even to those who hurt our ego, even to those who take away what we attach to, even to those who may get something that I wanted to get. Because that is the only way of practicing metta. It has to be unconditional. It has to be even to those who take things away from us or those who hurt us. You have to make it fully unconditional. So to sum it up, unconditional goodwill to all beings is an excellent meditation object. To start off with in the morning in formal meditation, then to sustain it throughout the day, to inform all your interactions with that attitude of goodwill. It can be done in all postures. It's quite easy to maintain, even if you interact with others who don't need a total seclusion. And you can maintain it throughout the day. You can have a short session of more formal metta again before you fall asleep, so that you sleep easily, you have no bad dreams, and you wake up 10 minutes before the alarm clock with a bright, radiant mind, a happy face, and you jump out of bed and can't wait to do your formal metta meditation so that you can sustain cultivation of metta throughout the day, every day, 24/7, 365 a year. Thank you for your attention.
Sadhu, 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 anumodami.
Thank you very much, Ajahn, for a good reflection on metta. I would like to now open up the floor for questions and answers. For anyone who has got a question, Ajahn, feel free to down the raise hand button and we'll invite you to unmute. I may offer a first question. Oh, okay. Nabarun has got a question. Nabarun from India. Please go ahead. Ask your question. Sorry, we can't hear you.
Maybe you have to unlock your mic there, unmute. I can't hear you. Maybe you have to unmute.
He's unmuted. I think it's got to do with your earpiece. You may have to turn up the volume of your earpiece. Yes. Can you try again, everyone?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, sorry for that. Thank you, Bita. Thank you, Tanajan, for your teachings. As you were mentioning in the talk, that when you have an anger or ill will, there's an irritation. So you have an intention to let go of it. What in terms of things that you delight in, and things which are sensual pleasures which are coming your way when you're in a lay life all the time, and how to see the danger in that and how to turn away from that, because it's not so easy, because there's no irritation, there's this delight. So what would your advice be regarding those things? Thank you.
Yeah. So the question is now how to overcome sensual desire and delighting in all kinds of sensual activities and gratification. Metta is not a direct antidote against that. Metta is a particular good meditation object to counter defilements on the side of aversion and anger and so on. So in order to overcome and weaken sensual desire, you may want to introduce other meditations additionally to metta, like contemplation of impermanence, contemplation of death, contemplation in particular of the physical body, the 4 elements, the 32 parts. These things now are more directly countering sensuality. However, metta can also be very powerful, because once your metta meditation makes good progress, you will find that you get great happiness from metta. And that happiness you get, that gladness, that joy, is a wholesome happiness. It is a happiness the Buddha encourages us to develop, the happiness of samadhi. And the more we develop the wholesome happiness, we can substitute it for the sensual happiness. So in that sense, metta can be very valuable for weakening our dependency on sensual happiness. Very few people will be able to keep going without feeling happiness. So if you don't have access to wholesome happiness, quite naturally, we become very dependent on sensual happiness. the better access we have and the more fulfillment we can find in non-sensual happiness, what the Buddha calls niramisu sukha, or what he calls nekhamasiddha sukha, the happiness based on renunciation, like, for example, metta meditation. The less we actually need that sensual happiness. This is a very important aspect, because unless we have something else, very few people will be able to completely abandon the sensual happiness, and if there's nothing else who can give them some fulfillment and joy. So 2 parts to your questions. Number 1, you may want to use additional meditation objects other than metta, in particular body contemplation, contemplation of impermanence, contemplation of death, contemplation of the drawbacks of sensuality. It's really funny now, all the great sensual pleasures usually have some drawback. The most comfort food, the stuff you like most, is often not very healthy and very bad for the teeth, too sweet. Smoking may be feeling nice, but unfortunately can give us cancer. So contemplating these drawbacks. The other thing, using metta to gain access to non-sensual happiness, and then develop that a lot. Then we are no longer so needy. If we have no non-sensual happiness, we are in a position of neediness. We constantly need this sensual gratification to get any happiness. But once you develop generosity, you make lots of good karma, punya, you're keeping precepts. These are all forms of wholesome happiness. And it makes us less needy in sensual terms. And once we are developing samadhi, like for metta meditation, you're just no longer really interested. Once a person really has samadhi, the interest in all kinds of sensual happiness fades away very naturally. Does that help? Does it make sense? Nabadun?
Yes, absolutely.
Where are you in India?
I'm in Calcutta, Tanajan.
Calcutta.
Yes.
I've been there the last time at the pilgrimage, I think 2006.
Okay.
I think lots of changes, I'm sure, since 2006 in Calcutta.
Yeah.
But I'm sure still very busy city, isn't it?
It's a very crowded place. Yes, it's very busy place.
So you've got plenty of beings about in Calcutta to send your loving kindness to.
Sure.
The more the better.
Sure. Thank you, Tanajan, for your guidance.
Thank you, Tanajan. Okay, Tanajan, I raise a question here. Tanajan, I know of an individual who suffers from panic attacks. Is metta a good practice for this individual, and how should I advise this individual?
Yeah, if it's very serious panic attacks, I would also advise to possibly see healthcare providers additionally. However, if I believe of all the meditation objects, I think metta is still the most suitable. I don't think it can be easily done when the panic attack already occurs. It is very important to do loving kindness at times when the mind is not yet overwhelmed. So we have to establish a good foundation in that meditation practice. And then we have to bring up metta in those situations where panic attacks are more likely to occur. I believe panic attacks tends to have certain triggers. So one needs good mindfulness to figure out what are the most likely situations for panic attacks to come up. And once we already have established a good practice of metta, it means that we can bring up this emotion, the feeling, more quickly. In the beginning, we may take quite a while repeating the mantra till we really feel something. But once the metta practice becomes better established, we may be able to get that feeling going fairly quickly. And then when we have to go into any situation where a panic attack is more likely to be triggered, I would recommend beforehand to go into metta. And I would imagine that metta can give a certain amount of protection from panic attack. Other things will also be important. And for example, the Buddha, recollection of the Buddha. The Buddha especially gave that to monks and nuns. We may be sitting alone in the forest in the full moonlight. And naturally one can get easily afraid of ghosts and wild animals and snakes and so on. So the Buddha gave recollection of the Buddha as a particular meditation object, especially for countering the fear. Dajjaka Pavita, which is basically just remembering Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and taking refuge. I think a very powerful one in combination with recollecting Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha is the ceremony of taking refuge. Because the moment you are afraid, when you have this strong feeling, wow, the Buddha, this is where I can find true refuge. So I also recommend simply going through the process of that little ritual, the refuge ceremony. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Buddhiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. And to do that very regularly. Again, just like with the metta, if it's not yet established, it will be difficult to counter a panic attack. But my recommendation would be doing the refuge ceremony at least twice a day. At least twice a day, and going through that ceremony, and ideally in the morning when you have a shrine, and really doing it, and putting on the lights. Look how nicely I put on lights that you can all see my candles. So you really do that. You make a little offering, you put on the lights, you put on the incense, and then you do the refuge ceremony. You don't have a monk there. You can do it on your own. You can put on the chanting in the background. It may make it easier. You don't have to chant on your own. You join the chanting which you play on your loudspeaker, and you do the refuge ceremony. Every day, twice even. Also do the forgiveness. The forgiveness ceremony is also good. If you have forgiven yourself and all other beings, why would you panic? I think an underlying thing for this panic and fear there can be a lack of forgiveness. Metta to oneself is really important. If you do your metta practice, then make sure that it's really strong to yourself. And then in any kind of situation where you think this is where the panic attack may get triggered, before you go in there, bring the mind back to metta, remember the Buddha, and then go through this refuge ceremony. So we have to establish that emotion of security, of safety, when we are doing that ceremony regularly, that we can remember that emotion and can easily access it. And the emotion of feeling really safe because I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in Dhamma and Sangha. And we have to do that regularly till we get the emotion of security, of safety. And we have to do the forgiveness ceremony until we really trigger that emotion. The forgiveness is not just some mental exercise. The forgiveness is also an emotion. You feel something. The moment you really forgive, you feel something. So I think these are all really important for panic, fear, remembering the Buddha, and in particular the refuge ceremony, and learning to build up that feeling of safety and security that the refuge ceremony can give us, and forgiveness. Forgiving others, forgiving oneself, and loving kindness to oneself. So just a few suggestions on panic attack.
Thank you for answering the question. There's one more question here, Ajahn. Maybe Philippa?
But Vita, if you have one person, you can ask your question first.
It's okay, you can go ahead. We can't hear you very well. Can you speak louder?
Can you hear me better if I speak like this?
Yeah, if you can speak louder, we can hear you.
Okay. So I have more or less two questions. One is regarding work. So right now, it's I think the last I'm doing it, but I'm still doing it, that I'm picking apples. And I've talked about this before, that when I pick apples, I kill beings. For sure. It's not essential, it's not intentional, but it does happen. And that's one of the main reasons that I'm going to keep doing it. I think this might sound a bit silly, or maybe not. I do ask the devas to keep the animals away from me. And I try to save as many as I can. That means spiders, little woodlice, and anything that can be on an apple. And but there's still this feeling that I know the moment, even though I don't do it intentionally, I know the moment I will pick up, it will happen. So it's hard for me to kind of deal with it. But I still have to do it at least until the end of the season. That's my first question, like how to deal with this, because there are jobs, other jobs. No, you can, like picking apples, you can improve loving kindness on the apples, and so maybe this apple.
Excuse me, Philippa, could you repeat? I didn't understand it. The audio
Okay.
wasn't clear. You have a
Maybe I
problem with killing beings regarding your job? I didn't fully get that.
right now
How
picking
does the
apples.
killing happen?
Picking apples.
Picking apples. Picking apples.
Yes. Yes. And that kills beings, even if it's not intentional. Beings, spiders, woodlice, small insects will be killed by it. So I try my best not to, and I try to save as many as I can, but I know that just by doing it, and I am getting money from it, so it's a very conflicting. Just by doing it, I will kill beings. Just by doing it, there is no way to avoid doing it. So I try to ask the devas to take the little, the spiders out of my way as I am picking. So I'm trying to get them. And the first time I went to a monastery, someone taught me to say Mami Padme Om, which is Tibetan thing, but it kept with me. So every time I do kill a being, I just say it. But it's still hard for this because there are some jobs where this harming is quite impossible. For example, even tree planting, you will harm. sometimes some beings. So how do we deal with this? Even because
Yeah,
people told me it is not intentional, so it's okay. But actually, I know that by doing it, I will harm it and I will be paid for it. So I don't, do you understand? It's not really, it's very conflictuous, this. So if you could provide some advice.
yeah, very important question. You see, don't allow your sense of metta, and in particular your accomplishment of virtue, of keeping the precepts, don't allow that to be destroyed and weakened by this kind of thinking. The Buddha has given us the explanation that it is the intention which creates the karma. And that is so important. And that's one big difference already in the Buddha's time to the way the Jains were practicing, the early precursors of the Jains who were trying not to do any killing whatsoever. But we have to accept the reality that is part of dukkha satya. That's part of the first noble truth, that in the human realm we live in a world as a human being with these bodies we have, where you can't exist without causing the death of other beings. So, oops, what's happening here? So it's impossible. Now I'm even a Buddhist monk. That is already a unique situation where you can keep your precepts incredibly pure. But for example, for this session here, I'm now in the Agasala. It's nighttime. I'm attracting all these insects with the light. And it will cause the death of some of them. But what I'm going to do, it will be impossible to never use light in this forest. You cannot use a car without killing insects on the screen. You cannot do possibly any form of agriculture without causing the death of beings, as you pointed out. In the Buddha's time, it was probably 99% of the people, or more than 90%, who were doing that as their livelihood, as farmers. So it is really, really crucial that you have faith in the way how the Buddha explained it. And that intention is a crucial factor. And that we have to understand as part of dukkha satya, once you go into the microscopic level, inside our body, in all kinds of tiny beings, the moment you scratch, there's some itch, there may be some tiny little parasite digging into your skin. It is impossible to live in a human body without causing the death of other beings. You couldn't do any agriculture, we would all have to starve to death. But the crucial one is the intention. And if you can keep the 5 precepts without intentionally killing any beings, and keeping these other 4 precepts as well, you should feel so happy about that. You should get a sense of accomplishment, a sense of joy, and you should get the anavajja sukha, with the blameless happiness, with the clear conscience from being a virtuous person. Don't
But
allow Mava to destroy that. Mava doesn't want you to be happy about your virtue, and he will throw some spanner and will try to convince you that although you're so good in keeping the precepts, he will try to create some doubt. We have to distinguish between the vicikiccha, the doubt, and udhacca kukucca, the restlessness and remorse, as a hindrance, and keeping our precepts pure. And you have to be really careful that Mava comes up with these 2 of the 5 hindrances, doubt, and in particular the kukucca. So I'm concerned that Mava is playing some game with you.
really, because for me, what is conflicting is the fact that I know I will do it, and I keep doing it. like that I have choice to stop doing this kind of but as you say, it will be impossible in general in the world. As for myself, is like I do it piecework. So the faster I do it, the more I get paid for it. So then there is not so much attention put into trying to save as much as I can. This is the conflicting part, is because even though there is not the intention of harming directly, I know that because of like greed a little bit, I am doing it with a less care than I could do it. Do you understand the concept?
Yeah, I get your say. I get what you mean. Have you considered becoming a nun? I mean, it's one of the motivations. Someone leaves the lay life behind because they want to live the holy life, pure as a polished conch shell. But you see, you will still have a problem, even as a monk or a nun. Kukucha, the hindrance of restlessness and remorse and doubt can still catch you. And it's impossible in the human body not to cause other beings to die in some way. And we have to get that clear in our mind, the distinction between intentional doing something or unintentionally it is happening. But if you really want to purify your precepts to the maximum extent possible in the human world, how about becoming a nun?
Yeah. It was my intention first, but then it was hard for me to find a community that at the time, when I started meditation, at the time that I found suitable. And right now it's very hard because more of a I have to, because of health issues, I have to be followed regularly. So then I think that would also put at least the communities I know, that would put some stress on the community itself. I'm not sure, but right now I also think maybe to just wait some years to see if it stabilizes. But I'm also I will also stop doing this kind of job that I already decided. But I will still do it for the rest of this season. So until November. So
I mean, I never have done
that is why
professional
I
picking. It's not fully clear to me what exactly is the issue, but apple picking sounds like a very beneficial and useful profession to me. The benefit is completely clear. Countless beings like eating apples. Apples are very healthy. And picking fruit seems to be a very non-violent activity. So I suspect that Mara is getting you. Mara is getting you through the hindrance of kukucha and also doubt.
thank you. I will consider it. And
Thank you, Philippa. That's all the time that we have today, because
okay,
it's late for Thailand, where he is.
for me, sorry, Vita. Sorry, thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Maybe you want to just ponder over the answers that Thanajan has given you, and then find a community near you to be able to support you. Okay. Thank you. I'm also concerned that it's pretty late where you are, Thanajan.
I'm fine, no problems.
Okay, I think there's just one more question someone's asking. Thanajan, is metta, just a second, let me just read it out. Is metta an emotion or is metta an intention? What's the difference?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. You see these khandhas, the 5 khandhas, they always go together. the moment there's consciousness, you will always have the Cetana, intention, you will always have Sanya, and you will always have Vedana, feeling. So these things are always connected. So metta is an intention, and it's an intention that is automatically connected with a very pleasant and uplifting emotion. And it feels really good. It's a pleasant feeling. So it is both. It's an intention and it's also an emotion. It feels. That is also the case with other things. Whatever we are intending, there's a certain feeling and emotion connected with it.
Thank you, Ajahn. I hope that answers all the questions that were sent to me and also offered here in this session. So we're very grateful for Ajahn to share the reflections of metta today. With that, could we invite Ajahn to lead us in the verses of sharing and aspiration as we formally ask for the session to close?
Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all cravings and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled.
We're very grateful for Ajah's offering today. We'd like to now formally take it from Ajahn by reciting the Pujan, the Arham, and Eugene will lead us in chanting that, please, Eugene.
We start with Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantam Abhivadimi. Sawakato bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang namasami. Supatipanno bhagavato sawaka sangho sanghang namami. That's about 3 times. Thank you, Tanajan.
Thank
I
you.
think we're all keen to get into our metta practice, isn't it? It really feels good. Can't recommend it too highly. Anumodana to you all, blessings. Looking forward. I will be in Singapore
18th of December.
18th of December. Peter knows better than me. From 18th until 22nd, I'll be staying at NDR. Looking forward to see all the devotees in Singapore. Anumodana, blessings.
As well as for those in Asia, Tanajan will be at the Ajahn Remembrance Day over the Christmas period, 26th and 27th of December as well.
Yeah, in KL, I will be actually already be in Buds from the 22nd of December. Looking forward to see everyone there in KL. Okay, people are sending these beautiful Anjali emojis bubbling up over my screen.
They can't send metta love like that, so they send Anjali. Tanajan. It's flying and
Yeah, see them here. Philippa, Alan, Susan. Okay, thank you so much.